Hi, everybody, and welcome to Gen Friends. I'm Cheri Hudson-Passy, your host, and with me tonight is the Executive Director of the In-Depth Genealogist, Cheri O'Connell. Hi, Terry.
Hey Sherry, how you doing?
Hi, we're good. We're a little lonely tonight. We've got lots of our panel flying off to genealogy conferences tonight, and so they couldn't be with us. But I think Terry and I can do a good job of talking about day 3 of Relative Race, season 4 of Relative Race. So it was great. It was another tearjerker.
Mm-hmm.
They're really getting in there and finding people. I guess I'd like to just kind of start out with Team Black, just because
Okay.
they crack me up. They
They
just
do. They
they
do.
they crack me up no matter what they're doing. It's like Joe can't drive that car. He got lost again in a park and he couldn't get out. He was circling round and round in circles.
And it was
Um,
one way.
and it was one way.
There's
I
only
know.
the one way to go. Follow it to
One
your exit.
way. Exactly. So I don't know if he's got anxiety disorders. I guess. No, just teasing. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine though the stress of jumping in
High
that
pressure.
car and having to get where you need to get. And I would probably be doing the same thing. I probably wouldn't be able to start the car either. I probably would be doing all sorts of crazy things. And of course, looks like he added again to his little photo thing in the back. And I love that they're taking photos and decorating the back of the car with those photos. I think that's the coolest thing. So they were off to, is it Staunton, Virginia? Am I saying it right?
Well, that's
Or
how I always
Stanton?
said it, but they pronounce it Stanton, and the relative that they visit, pronounced Stanton too. So,
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then
but
I,
I've learned this week that like everything I pronounce is English. I got some Irish pubs that I was telling somebody about, and
uh-huh.
a gentleman from Ireland was like, "I'm sorry, how did you pronounce that?" I go, "Like the English do."
So I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so they're off to there. And what I thought was really funny was we had Team Blue and Team Green, one leaving a city and the other going to the same city, Lilburn, Georgia. I thought that was kind of funny. And what a coincidence that they had relatives in the same town. I thought that was kind of cool. And then so they all get in their cars and they're off to their next cities, and it was Precious's birthday, which I thought was so cool that she's running the race on her birthday.
Yeah.
So as they're traveling, they're all tweeting her. Of course, the blue team says, "We're sorry, we're going to win on your birthday." you know, Everybody else is saying, "Happy birthday, Precious."
But Blue Team's got to put a dig in there.
Blue team's got to put a dig in there, right? And red team, and that was really cute. They actually drew a birthday card and then took a picture of it and sent it to her. So I thought that was really, really cute. But what a cool thing to be running the race on your birthday.
Yeah.
I thought that was,
Different.
yeah, like, and
And
she kept saying,
you'll remember.
I think she must have said 15 times, "Best birthday ever," during the episode. She was so excited. Well, I would have been excited too. I think that's really, really cool. Let's talk about um, the challenge. That was a
It
challenge.
was.
That was a challenge. I'm trying to remember what they called it. It was focus. Oh, zoom in. Zoom in is what they called it. Zoom in. So they had these photos that they had taken of all these objects that were on the table. And their challenge was they had to describe what the photo looked like. And then the partner had to find it on the table.
Well, I just have to laugh, and I think it was, I don't remember, I think it was Black Team. They kept talking, or no, it was Green Team. He kept saying, I've got Oreos, and he lifted them up, and she goes, those are Cheerios.
That was hysterical. That was so funny. That was so funny. It's just the stress, the trying to hurry and get things done. What was really interesting is I've said this before, that Joe actually live tweets. And he said that Jerica had not seen those photos until she was watching it, until she watched the episode. Now, I don't know if they've seen all the episodes ahead of time or if he meant
Mhm.
last, when it was shown. So, but yeah, it was the first time. And she kind of went, "Oh, I understand now." I'm having a hard time because that was hard.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was hard. And I was thinking, no, do it one at a time. Find the first one that's right. Then go to the next one. Don't
And
move
that's what I
on.
would be doing. You're like, check.
Yeah. Instead of trying to put them all up and then like you've got one right. Well, how do you know which one you've got right?
Like,
Yeah. So it seems to me one at a time. And then blue team really, really had some trouble. They had to actually take kind of a little
time out.
time out and walk away. And Tiffany was just upset. She says, "I'm not used to losing." And he was saying, "Hey, we can quit. We can go home right now if you want to.
which surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised me too. It surprised me too. But he said that she was more important than the game, and if it was too much for her, but they got in there, and finally, eventually, everybody
But I
got them.
love that in one of the recaps, or maybe it was in the end, what Dan said, it's called a challenge for a reason. It's not meant to be easy. You're meant to work at it.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be having fun. Don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to you.
It's a learning for anybody that's going to play these types of games, like running this kind of race or The Amazing Race or any of those reality shows that you got a race on, or you're doing something like this at a family reunion.
Right.
We might think we all have these best relationships and we can work together. Sometimes you really can't, and you need to work on that skill.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree.
Something that they need to think about. Like, we need to learn to communicate a little better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think sometimes too, it throws you off. You think you're going to be okay, like you said. I mean, even people that have the best communication skills, I think you get into these stressful things and you're going to act different than you thought you would.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them, it's good. They just do kind of pull back and talk. And well, just like Team Red, for instance, you noticed who was driving. It wasn't Daddy.
Daddy got put to the passenger seat. You read the map.
That's right. That's right. And they did a better job. They did a much better job of getting to where they needed to go, because she would stop and ask.
But even when she told Daddy, listen.
Yeah, just listen to
what I'm telling you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, let's talk about who they got to see. Let's start with the black team. They got to go and meet a cousin, and it was a cousin on their mom's side, and they knew that.
So sweet.
Yes, they knew that right off because she looked just like their mom, they said, and I loved it because Joe was saying we just felt at home. We just felt right at home, having this person who looks so much like our mom, and yeah, the connection seemed to be there. That kind of family felt like home. I think everybody said
that. Yeah,
they all said it, and then they got to go and do the glass blowing.
That was cool.
That was really cool, and you could tell that they really, really enjoyed. They really enjoyed doing
ornaments they made. I thought, man, I want to go do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a place here in Myrtle Beach where you can go do that. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. You can make Christmas ornaments and all sorts of things like that.
I mean, I've watched it like at Disney. You can watch it.
Yes.
To make the glasses. And
that's right.
As kids, we always went in and watched because it was so cool.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh man, I would love to do that.
Well, to do that, yeah, and to have that as a souvenir. Is so cool. Yeah, it's so cool. And then we had the blue team, and the blue team got to meet another one of Joe's cousins, and it was a cousin on his dad's side. And so he's really seeing those connections and the importance, and he was saying after this horrible day we had, because they couldn't get through that they got through the challenge, but they had such a hard time doing it. And they got stuck in traffic. There was, traffic. Yep. And I mean, and like Dan said, it's just part of relative race. I mean, they can't control,
right?
If there's going to be a wreck on the freeway, if there's going to be a train, if there's going to be whatever that is stopping traffic. So he was saying after this horrible day, how wonderful it was to come and meet a cousin and just relax.
Yeah.
So he found out more information about his dad's side. So I'm excited for him that he's getting this information. I don't know if Tiffany's ever going to find anything on her side, but
he seemed kind of almost standoffish. It as great as it is to meet, it just felt like there wasn't that click.
Yeah, and I wonder
the intensity of the day.
I'm thinking that's what it was, because it seemed like when they were at the Skype call at the end, he seemed to be a little bit more relaxed as he was talking about. And so I'm sure they were stressed. That was hard. That was really hard to have them not being able to communicate and get that challenge done as quickly as possible, and then get stuck in traffic. I'm sure they were just by the time they got there.
And I do love that he likes that he can crack a joke at the end. Like when she said, "You want to go inside?" He goes, "Yeah, after this treat of a day I've had, absolutely."
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think going in and hearing some more stories about his dad's side of the family, I think really helped. And I think that by the time they got to the Skype call, he had calmed down. He'd
Yeah.
relaxed, and they felt that sense of home because they were talking about that as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, do we wanna do red or green? What do you think? You take it over. You wanna do red or green?
Okay, so let's think.
Both
They were both good stories.
yes.
So
Red,
the red team, they met.
his sister.
Yes, his
Yeah, his
this,
sister.
and he said it was he said he could see the family resemblance in her right away, and she
Yeah,
said it was just like looking at her father.
yeah, it's just it was amazing.
Heartbreaking. But
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
it was nice that she sat and told the full story. It was heart wrenching to hear that she watched it all go down. She watched him murder her
And try
mother.
to prevent it.
Yeah, so she watched him murder the mother and kill himself.
Mm.
But the most important thing I think that she did was tell him it wasn't his fault.
Oh, and that they don't
Even
hold any
though they didn't
grudges.
they broached that it was because of an affair, but they didn't
Mhm.
broach it was because of his mother's affair.
Right.
And then she came back and said, "You are not a mistake.
Yeah.
You are not the reason this happened.
Yeah, this is not
You
your
were
fault.
just the victim, just like we are."
Mhm, exactly. That was wonderful. That was
Moment of
wonderful.
the season so far because
Oh, yeah.
so needed to be said, and I think that watching him as he's hearing these stories, and you can just see the pain in his heart. You could just see it on his face that it's just so hard to hear all this. It really, it was a good moment.
And, it makes me wonder, and I would love to be able to ask him, when he found that out, did he have a moment of, "I don't know that if I want to have this on television." I wonder if there was a moment of, "Wait a second. This is not what I bargained for." And
Well, I do
because
have to say that we knew the story, but they held it back from the competitors
that's right.
until that night when Austin
Mhm.
said, "I need to give you guys some of the backstory of what we found out on day one,
Right.
so that today makes kind of more sense to you."
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that there with Jerica, I mean, I thought when the race started, like they're going to be the goofy team. They're going to be
Mhm.
the goofy team that's going to keep us entertained.
Yeah,
And I just chalked it up. They're young kids, and we're going to have fun with them.
yeah.
But she's very insightful for a young woman.
Oh, I agree.
Just
I
watching
agree.
her and the things that she has to say when they do these little interviews. And
Mhm.
she said, yeah, we're all racing against each other, but we're in this journey together.
Right. This is our family as we race. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it was
Exactly.
really, it's good to see that, they're meeting cool cousins and they're doing this fun stuff, but
Yeah.
their heart is there with the people as they struggle with what they're learning.
Exactly. And before we go to the other team green, I'm finding that the Skype call is becoming part of my favorite of the
It
show
really is.
because of the emotion, not only as they're sharing their stories, and we don't know how much more that there's there that we don't get to see as well.
Mhm.
That'd be cool to be able to see the whole thing.
It would be cool to have the gag reel, like the drop
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. But Dan's reaction, because a lot of the stuff he doesn't know, because
Mhm.
that's what he was telling us. They want his real reactions. And so a lot of the things he doesn't know until they tell him. And so his reactions, or even if he does know, it gets him again
Mhm.
as they describe it. And so his reactions are get to me too,
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
you can see that they're bonding with each other. And I have a feeling that as they move on, that blue and green team will get a little bit closer together. Maybe not so, just from hearing each other's stories. I
Right,
think
because
they're
they're so similar.
they're very similar. Yeah. And then yeah, just like I said, just seeing their reactions as they tell what they did that day. And it softens everything, and it becomes, as Dan was saying, it becomes about the family.
Mhm.
It becomes about the family. And I also love that Michael said from the red team, he said we need to turn the other page, meaning, okay, this is what's happening, now let's move on.
Mhm.
And that's what he's been able to do with the other relatives that he's met. He's been able to learn the stories,
Mhm.
and he got to see photos,
Mhm.
and he got to see a photo of his father. His father was a cook. And
Mhm.
so in his, chef uniform, he got to see it. And then that's what Michael loves to do. That's what Michael does. And
I love
so,
that he let him cook to see if he had what their dad had.
yeah,
I love.
yeah. I thought that was great. And how many times do we see this, that people don't know their families, but once they find out who they are, they have all these things in common?
It's insane. I mean, do you find that in your personal research? Because I have
Yeah.
lots of similarities
Mhm.
to my O'Connell side that it's like, it's kind of eerie. It's like,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
would have known?
Do you know that, and a lot of people know, a lot of viewers know, and a lot of people that know me know that we have birth children and we have adopted children, and I am finding ancestors that adopted or took in children. You know, even if it
Honestly,
wasn't adoption because they didn't do that in
right.
that
But
time
they
period.
still took that child in and loved him as
Yeah,
their own. I love
yeah, and so that just gives me chills, and it's not just one ancestor, and it's not just on one side.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
and so yeah, it's just amazing
So you
those
were meant to
connect.
do that.
I guess I was. It's
You
in
were
the
meant to
genes,
do it.
I suppose. So, yeah, it's just amazing when we and they, as they're searching for these people that they've never met before, have these strong connections with them. That just blows me away.
Mhm.
But then we move on to Team Green and Precious, who was celebrating her birthday, as we said. And but before she left, we forgot to say before she left on day 3, the her aunt, wasn't it her mom's sister, that's where she
Mhm.
was, gave her a picture frame for her
Oh,
birthday.
right.
And in the picture frame was Precious and her husband, and then a picture of her mother,
Mhm.
but the 3rd slot is empty.
You know daddy's going in there.
You know daddy's going in there. You hope daddy's going in there.
No,
Or
he's going
maybe
in there. If he doesn't go
yeah,
in there, it's like,
yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait. I just thought, "Oh, that's good. That's so
mhm.
cool." So that was a fabulous birthday present for her.
Yes.
But she ended up getting even more as
Mhm.
they get to the next relative's home, and it's her great aunt and her uncle.
I loved it.
That was so emotional as they're telling her, the great aunt said that she had tried to adopt her, but she had things going on in her life that, you know, it wasn't she wasn't able to do it, and, so she was telling her, you know, family stories again, and then they get a text message from Dan. And they're like, "What are we doing getting a text message from Dan? We're meeting our relative. What's
Right.
going on?" You know, they were so confused. And they said, "Look in the backpack." So I'm thinking, when did they sneak something in the backpack that they haven't seen? They're good. So they get in the backpack and it's a note for the uncle. So the uncle takes it and he's reading it. And it's the information about his birth mom. He didn't know anything about her. He'd met her, he said, briefly when he was a kid, had seen her and hadn't seen her since and didn't know where she was, who she was, how to get a hold of her. So there it is, the information about his mom,
Which
which is
is
go ahead,
Precious' grandmother.
Precious's grandmother.
Okay, so
Oh,
this brings this question for me.
okay.
She's meeting with the uncle,
Mhm.
so the aunt's brother from the last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Also meeting with the great aunt, who has to be mom's sister.
I would think
So did mom really like fly the coop and nobody's in touch with her?
it
Because
must
they're
that
not covering that.
no. So hopefully we'll find more about that because I was thinking that the same thing. Now, how is this all fitting the pieces? I'm trying to get these pieces, so I guess we have to stay tuned.
Well, hopefully next week we answer that.
Well, I'm hoping that's where they go next week and they take him with. They need to put him in the car.
Bring me to Ireland because I really would have to wait until I'm home.
Well, hopefully you can get it on byutv.org and you can watch it while you're there. Yeah, my husband's aunt, that's how she watches it. She lives in England and
Okay,
she watches it, yeah, on
perfect. That's good
byutv.org.
to
So
know.
yeah, so she'll be able to watch it. Yeah, so fabulous. That was just like, oh my gosh, it's like, but wait, there's more. We found even more. And I found it interesting that they did it that way instead of her just showing up at the grandmother's house at some point.
Mhm.
So I found that very interesting, and I wonder if more to that story is going to come. Why did they choose to do it
Well,
that way? Or just because he was there and he didn't know, so they could reveal that to him at the same time?
I think that her story is going to be revealed more and more. I kind of just have this feeling because we still don't know the story of her mother.
We
So
don't.
obviously, her mother had it. Obviously, the aunts, the uncle, the mother, they had a troubled past
Right, right.
because
Or
nothing was said with the aunt and
yeah,
on day one about her mom not being in the picture.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. So There's got to be so much
The
more to this
story's just
story.
unfolding, and we just have to be patient.
Exactly, but it's hard.
It's so hard.
It's really hard. Yeah, so yeah, in my opinion, though, he needs to be able to go. And if they find the grandmother, or they just need to have him, maybe not so much on the race part, just to be there. That
Yeah.
they've had him go ahead of time to meet her, and then when she shows up, he's there as well.
Right.
Because it hardly seems fair to give him this piece of information and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We will
Wait.
see. So, is there anything else you want to say before we get to the results, or?
Just really quick, I want to touch back on Black Team and the whole thing about the car. Because as we were talking about it, I was thinking, every car is different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And when you get into a car to drive, especially if you're going long distance, like you're never comfortable if you're renting a car. It's not yours.
So true.
You don't know the intricacies of the pedals. Like I know if I get into my car, I've got a good brake. Like you just touch it. But like older cars, you got to really stomp on it. So we laugh about his problems with the car, but it makes you wonder, like, is he driving a beater at home and it's just so different?
It's probably
so stressful.
Yeah, and you know what? They need to put some comedy in here. So, when they're going to edit it, they're going to put this funny stuff in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I just thought it's something we should probably all just think about. Like, they're all driving cars. They're not unless they all have that car at home.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I know I'd be all, what do I do? I don't even know how do I put it in reverse? Where are the headlights? It's getting dark. I'd be all doing that. And then, of course, they bring their telescope.
Oh, my God, that was hysterical. She's like,
this way we can see the signs better. I just laughed.
I was thinking, is she going to remove it? Is she going to have a black circle around her eye?
Around her eye.
Jokes on her.
and then of course the green team has trouble with the selfies. Every year somebody has trouble with the selfies. Every year. And some of them are getting smarter. They're posing one first.
And then, okay, you stay here. I'll come next.
And then who was it? Somebody said the green team has it easy because they're just tiny. They're just little tiny people. So they're going to have an easier time. So there's just so many fun things about this show.
Good episode all around.
Yeah. So then, of course, this is my least favorite. Well, I love the Skype call. Like I said, that's becoming my most favorite. Just watching them interact with each other and watching Dan's reactions and all that. That's becoming one of my favorite. But I really don't like them having to give people strikes. I don't. I'm
okay with it because otherwise it's not really a competition.
I know. But so Black team comes in number 1. Who'd have thought? They didn't think.
Never would I have thought.
They were absolutely shocked. So shocked. They didn't even discuss ahead of time if they wanted the day 10 benefit or the next day, benefit. They hadn't even.
They were like. And then he picks, and in the little interview, he goes, "You were of no help."
Exactly.
Make a decision.
So they chose the 15 minutes worth of GPS for the next day. So I
think that's a good. You know what? They need it
because they've already
lost in a parking lot again.
Exactly. And they've already got 1 strike. So that'll give them. That should hopefully, unless any other disaster strikes for them, that should get them coming in. 1 or 2. They shouldn't end up. Last place with that GPS. But
if they're smart, they'll use it like they did last year at the very end, just to get to the relative's house.
The relative's house.
Like, we're in town. We've got the address. Now go.
Right. Well, and I think at one point Austin said something about we were doing well, but relative race.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I liked that line.
You just never know what's going to happen on relative race. So they come in number 1, shocked. And then we had Team Green come in 2. And then we had, that drum roll, who's going to come in last. So team number 3 was the red team, and blue team came in last. And I really do think it was because they struggled so much in that challenge. Oh, and then they had the traffic jam.
It's some things that's just out of your hands. There's nothing you can do.
Totally out of your hands. And that's what Dan just kept repeating to them.
Brush it off and you start anew tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow's a new day. We've got only 1 team that doesn't have a strike. That's green team. So they're doing well. They don't have any strikes, and everybody else has got 1. So, nobody's going home on day 4.
Yay.
Unless they choose to. I mean,
Right.
nobody can go home on day 4 unless, something terrible happens and somebody gets hurt or, or whatever, or they choose to give up and go home. So, nobody should get a strike and send them home. So it should be good. The previews for next week look good, and I don't ever want to wait, but
I know.
somebody was saying it's the longest overnight you'll ever have.
That's true. And you know what, though? I'm still curious as to what is day 10? Where are they going?
I know. I know, because that's another. I was kind of hoping that there would be another day 10 benefit, so we could
Right.
put
So we could, like,
three
what's
pieces
next?
together. So now we've still just got the flag and we've got the little mascot.
Yeah.
That maybe it is. So yeah. So hopefully next week we'll get another day 10 and we can start putting these pieces together and figuring it out. So
Yeah.
anyway, another great show. People keep asking me who's your favorite team.
Green. I'm at green and red right now.
Yeah, I mean, because I love Black Team. I just love them. They're so fun. They're just, it's nice to have. It would be hard if they were all sob stories.
Yes.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
It would be hard. So it's nice to have. I mean, and theirs was touching last week. That doesn't mean they're not going to have touching stories.
Right.
And they're not going to enjoy it. And they're not going to have fun along the way. And they're not going to bond with family and love the fact that they're meeting family. But it's nice to have, just see that joy every time. They're just running this race just for the
Just for fun.
joy of it, just for the fun of it. And so then you've got, the other 3 teams that are just really missing pieces of their family. And so I can't choose a favorite. Maybe as
that's what makes it hard is,
Mhm.
so in blue team, I'm like, that competition drive is just too much. And believe me, I'm way competitive.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably be that team. But watching it's kind of, it makes, I get upset. It aggravates me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
I
red
agree.
and the green are really, those emotional stories are really pulling at me, and I want to see them get to day 10. I don't care who wins. I just want to see them get to day 10 and meet all those relatives.
Yeah, I want to see who they meet. I know that they get to meet them, even if they get the 3 strikes and they leave, but I want to see them meet them. I want to know what happens. And I think that's why all the fans are always saying, we need a show that shows us. We need a reunion show. We need something that lets us know what happens afterwards. So, and I know that the folks at Relative Race have heard the fans, so I'm hoping
they'll give us something.
I'm hoping that they will. So,
Yeah.
well, I guess that's the end of day 3. And they did do some, if you go to byutv.org, they do have the blog there, and there's some video blogs that the teams have done. Kind of, they're day 4, starting of day 4, but they're talking about day 3 and the things that they did. So those are always fun to kind of get some inside story from them, some backstory. So I encourage people to go and log on and watch those. And thanks, Cheri, for talking about day 3 with me.
You're quite welcome.
I'm excited for the rest. I still got my shirt on. Still, this time I put him in order of. Oh, my black one fell, but I had him in order of who won.
Awesome.
I figured that way I'm not showing any preference. It's just
there you go.
Anyway, so thanks so much, and thank you for watching this episode of Gen Friends. We hope that you're enjoying watching Relative Race, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.